The president has called his fellow party members to a meeting in a local theatre hall in Baghdad. His name is Saddam Hussein. He's only been president for a little under a week, but Iraq is his, and he wants everyone to know. It's July, and the temperature outside is pushing 40 degrees Celsius. The hall is hot, blisteringly hot. As Saddam takes the stage, he takes his time, shuffles a few papers, looks at his notes. Shortly before their newly appointed president arrived, one of his men appeared on stage. A terrible plot against the president and against Iraq has been uncovered, he informed the crowd. A group of high-ranking party members has conspired to remove Saddam Hussein from power. And then he revealed, all the guilty parties are in this room, right now. And now, the crowd sits frozen in silence. The president is in total control. Then, Saddam calls a man to the stage, and a tall, slender, middle-aged man starts walking down the aisle. His name is Muhi Adbek Hussein. He's part of the Revolutionary Command Council. He's a powerful man, but just a short while ago, he had opposed Saddam in a meeting. It was a mistake. He walks up onto the stage and stands behind a microphone. And then, slowly, he begins confessing to crimes of wanting to overthrow Saddam Hussein. In the meantime, Saddam takes a seat by a long table full of microphones and lights a thick Cuban cigar. I was the one behind the plot against the new president, the man says. It was me who tried getting others to join in. But it's a lie. Nothing of what he admits on stage is true. What's really happened is that he's been thoroughly tortured and told that if he doesn't go up on that stage and say that he planned the plot against Saddam, the torturers will rape his wife and daughter right in front of him. He has no choice but to obey. And so he does. To save his family, Muhi lies about his own and his fellow party members' involvement in the plot to overthrow Saddam's new regime. Once he's finished, Saddam takes the floor. Again, Saddam is in no rush. He lights his cigar and then he asks out into the room. What means should be used against these traitors? You know the answer, he says after a pause. There is no other way than the sword. The terrified party members in the theatre hall begin to clap desperately. What else could they do? Saddam then gives an instruction to those assembled in the hall. When I have read out your name, you shall stand up, recite the party's slogan, and leave the room. And so he begins reading out names. One by one, they must rise from their seats, say the slogan, and then they are led out of the room. They haven't been told where they're going or what's waiting for them on the other side of the door, but they probably have an idea. Most of the people, though reluctantly, do as they're told. One man, however, is clearly confused at his name being called. Me? I haven't done anything, he shouts as he stands up. Saddam doesn't even bother to look at him. He just coolly repeats, when I have read out your name, you shall stand up, recite the party's slogan, and leave the room. And then, nothing. The man just lowers his head and shuffles out of the room. Saddam continues until he has called out 68 names. He smiles and thanks those remaining in the hall for their loyalty, and then everyone stands up and once again begins a desperate standing ovation. Relief. Some even begin to cry. Up on the stage, even Saddam himself sheds a tear. Outside the hall, all the people whose names Saddam has called out are gathered in trucks and driven to prison. In the following days, 68 trials are held. 22 men, including 5 members of the Revolutionary Command Council, are sentenced to death. Saddam has appointed a number of executioners to complete the task of carrying out the executions. They're all members of the Ba'ath Party, his party, and none of them are executioners. They are then gathered in the building where the plotters allegedly should have laid their plans to overthrow Saddam's new regime. And then the condemned are dragged out into the adjoining yard where they are forced to their knees and blindfolded. Each of the executioners is then handed a weapon and assigned a victim. And while they prepare to murder their former party comrades, they can hear the sound of a large crowd gathering outside the building. Saddam wants to make sure that everyone knows what will happen to people who disobey, but most importantly he wants to show his accomplices, willing or not, So Saddam has made sure that there's a demonstration at the same time as the executions, and it's a big one. Thousands of Iraqis gather with signs and flags, shouting praises to their new president and condemning the prisoners. And then, one by one, Saddam's former friends and fellow party members are shot. Some executioners are so nervous and scared that they miss and need to shoot their victims several times. It's gruesome, but Saddam is very satisfied. An excellent start to his presidential career, he thinks to himself. And so the first official order of the newly appointed president of Iraq